Are you a medical professional looking to up your financial game? Well, stick around today because we're going to talk about top debt management strategies. How do you approach debt? How do you look at it? How do you decide what you're going to pay off first? So stay tuned. Today, we're going to be talking about some top debt management strategies. Right now, credit card debt is higher than it's been in years. There's many reasons, and one is that inflation has caused the prices to go up. And for most of us, our annual salary has not increased at the rate that inflation has. So if we've got more going out than coming in, it can make us have increased credit card debt. So today we're going to talk about a couple of top debt strategies to be able to get this under control. So we all know that debt can be overwhelming. And sometimes when we're in debt, we have a hard time thinking about it clearly. But know that if you've got the right strategies, you can start getting this under control. So we're going to start by talking about 3 different types of loans. And the first one is personal loans and credit cards. So personal loans and credit cards, typically characteristics are that they've got high interest. The average rate right now on credit cards is around 21%. 2 years ago, it was 15%. So big difference. To put that in perspective, what that means is that if you had $1,000 on a credit card and you're paying 20% interest on it, and you hadn't paid it back in a year, now it's cost you $1,200. And so until you pay it off, they're ringing up that interest at 20%. So what if everything that you bought turned out to be 20% more expensive than what you thought it was? That would be really bad, wouldn't it? So years ago when I was working in Houston, I had an employee that they had a car breakdown. It was unexpected, and they were spending basically everything that they were making, and they needed to get another car. They needed to be able to get to work. And their only option was to buy that car and put it on a credit card. The used car, not huge sums of money, but their only option, because they didn't have access to any other cash, was to put that on a credit card. So imagine if they were paying, let's just say it was 20% for multiple years as they were getting that car paid off. By that point, they probably needed another used car. So I remember that story many, many years in advance, because at the time that it happened, I thought it was, I was kind of horrified with the idea of it. But if you don't have any access to any cash, then what do you do? So again, personal loans and credit cards, high interest rates. Right now, they're averaging about 21%. So the second one here is home equity loans. So a home equity loan, while it may seem like a good idea, we want to make sure that we understand what the terms are. So some of the common misconceptions about home equity loans is that they're free because you own a house. And 2 is, that the interest is being paid back to you. And what I can tell you is that they're not free. There's costs involved in doing that. And your money, the interest is being paid back to the bank. It's not being paid back to you. So on home equity loans, we just want to make sure that before we do that, we understand what the terms are of the loan and what happens if we miss a payment. Okay. So the third one here, we're talking about cash advances. We see those rapid cash places a lot of times in big cities downtown, because people need to get a cash advance on their paycheck. And these are characterized again by high interest rates and high fees. So if you're ever in a situation and you're looking at a cash advance, again, make sure that you understand the terms, because there can be fees involved and it can be very high interest rates if it's not paid back quickly. So again, I guess the theme in all 3 of these is making sure you understand the terms before you take it on. Okay, so next slide here, we're going to talk about the snowball method. So this is one of the more popular debt repayment strategies, and it's called the snowball method. Why is it called the snowball method? Well, just like a snowball, what you're trying to do is accelerate, build some momentum so that you can get this debt paid off, okay? And how this works is you're going to make a list of your debts from the smallest to the largest. This is the balances. So let's say you've got 3 credit cards. One's got $1,000 on it. One's got $5,000. One of it's got $7,000 on it. You're going to make a list. What is the smallest balance to the largest balance? And what we're going to do with the snowball method is we're going to make a minimum payment on all of the debts except for the smallest. Okay. So we're making minimum payments on all of them but the smallest. And on the smallest, we're going to apply any extra cash that we have towards paying off that smallest debt. Once that one's paid off, that would be the smallest snowball here on the left-hand side of the screen. Then we're going to move on to the next one up. Okay, again, making minimum payments on the others, making any extra payments on the second. And that's the way it works. So we're trying to get each of those snowballs paid off. Now, what I would say on any of these, when we talk about making your minimum payments, I like having my credit cards. I've done this for years. that it's all set up on automatic payment. It's coming out of my checking account. It's coming out of the checking account where money is coming in, and it's the minimum. And there's a lot of people that will say, well, I think I'm going to be able to pay it off every month. And what we know is that things happen. And there's nothing worse than feeling like you wake up one morning and you go, oh, my payment was due yesterday. Now they're going to charge me a late fee of $30 or something like that because I missed the payment. So I like setting up automatic payments on all of them. If I've got more money that I want to pay on something, I can always make another payment. Okay. There's no rule that says you can only make one payment per month on a credit card. So set them up on auto pay. And one, it alleviates the late payment fees. But the other thing is it eliminates the chance of you getting dings on your credit score because you made a late payment. Okay. Credit scores are tied to anything where we want to get money now, and it's getting worse and worse. So I encourage you to set those up on automatic payments, and you can always pay more. So the next one here is talking about the modified snowball method. Now, why this is the modified snowball method, also called the avalanche method, is because the idea is still we're paying off one card at a time or one item at a time, but we're doing it based on the highest interest rate. So I like this one because interest rates, like I said, the average is about 20%. If you've got some of those specialty credit cards, they might be charging you 30% a year. They don't really tell you that. It's in the fine print. You even have a hard time finding it online, some of the home shopping type things like that. But the idea here is that we're going to make a list of those. Instead of making it a list by balances, now we're going to make it as a list by interest rate. Okay, so for example, if you had $5,000 at 20%, this would go before $10,000 at 15%. Hopefully that makes sense. It's based on the interest rate. The reason that we're doing that is because the higher the interest rate, the faster that's accumulating as far as more money that you have to pay off. Okay, so again, highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. We make minimum payments on all of them except for the one with the highest interest rate, and that's where we're going to apply some extra dollars. Okay, I want to give you an example on this one. And let's say you have a mortgage, and your mortgage is at 7%, and your credit card is at 20%. Okay, you got a smaller balance on the credit card and a much bigger balance on the mortgage. So would you pay using the modified snowball method? Would you make extra payments on the house, or would you make extra payments on the credit card at the higher interest rate? Okay, and the answer is the credit card at the higher interest rate. All right, we'll have a whole nother segment about house payments and extra payments, that type of thing. So again, I would say set up your automatic payments, minimum payments, so that you're not missing anything. Preserve your credit score and pay off the highest interest rate one first and work your way down. So to reduce your debt, even pay it off, start implementing one of these strategies today. And if you're ready to take control of your financial future, I've got a tool for you. It's yourfvp.com. So check it out, yourfvp.com. And it's a tool that I created that in 2 weeks, you can make 2 steps towards making your retirement dream a reality. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.